This is my first video on this channel and welcome. Today we are going to some crazy stuff and let's watch what we got today. Yeah, there is some ideas that I prepared before and let's go. What it is, it's... looks like it's JoJo time. Golden Experience Requiem versus the World Over Heaven Ultimate Showdown. Okay, maybe this can be a little crazy video and a little long enough video for the first time, because this is too hard for explaining stance that we're starting to recognize only now. Alright, first things first, what actually is Golden Experience Requiem? If you've seen JoJo's Golden Wind, you know Golden Experience is a protagonist Giorno stand. But because of the wild situation and his stand's unique abilities, it's tricky to sum up its normal perks. Basically, Golden Experience can create life from anything. A rock can become a snake, or a simple punch can make tree roots burst out of the ground in an instant. Throughout the season, Giorno improves his skills, show how useful his stand can be in all kinds of situations. But let's pause for a second. Before we get into the broken stuff, you need to understand what makes the original so special. You can't talk about or soup up a giant without knowing how the card drove before the upgrade. So, what's the deal with Golden Experience? First off, this stand is a reflection of Giorno's soul, so it looks like a lot of him, slim, humanoid, not around the same height. Its design is packed with a meaning. The helmet has a ladybug pattern, and you'll find those little bugs all over his body. Why? Ladybugs symbolize regeneration. The whole style is always based on the ancient Egyptian scarab beetle, a classic symbol of creation and life. And the angel wings on its shoulders, they represent peace. So just by looking at it, the stand screams "I control life." It's usually a sleek gold or a yellow color, which fits the golden name perfectly. In terms of personality, it's a direct reflection of Giorno's will. Unlike some stands that develop their own quickly personalities, Golden Experience doesn't speak or act on its own. It follows Giorno's commands without question. Its battle cry, it's always a good old moda 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 moda! Just like Dios. Zavardo. A little family trait showing through, you could say. Okay, there is a core ability. Gold Experience isn't about showing the hardest punch. Its physical strength is actually noted to be around that of an average human. Instead, it's all about versatility through creation. Its signature move is giving life, formerly called Life Giver. So easy, right? Giorno can touch any object with Gold Experience feats and turn it into a living creature or a plant. A rock become a frog, a lighter become a rose, a piece of luggage, also a frog. It's a wild. The bigger or more complex the life form, the longer it takes, but turning things into plants is the most instant. He once turned parts of a helicopter into a tree so fast the branches tore right through the metal. But there are key catches that define its balance. Actually, there is no direct control. Giorno doesn't directly command the animals he makes. They have their own free will. He has to think like a clever zoologist, predict what these animals they do, and use that to his advantages in some situations. Sometimes it backfires. It's a creative tool, not a mind control power. The damage reflect. Here is a tactical twist. If someone attacks one of his created animals, the damage reflects back on the attacker. You try to smash Giorno's frog, your own head gets bashed in. It's an instant karma thanks to stand logic. And the stand. It's a close-range power. Golden Experience can only operate within about 2 meters of Giorno. While its range is a human level, it's fast and precise, capable of easily destroying vehicles like cars and motorcycles. This then is like a Swiss Army knife. The life-giving power has some wild strategic uses. For example, life short. If Golden Experience punches a living person, it sends their mind into overdrive. Their souls speed up so much that the world seems to move in slow motion, but their body can't keep up. They are trapped, feeling every bit of pain from the punch for what seems like forever. It's a brutal sensory overload, however, this ability seems to be ineffective against stands themselves. The ultimate healer is inspired by other stands. Giorno learned he could create specific body parts and organs from objects and fuse them into wounds. He turned bullets into flesh to heal gunshot wounds and regrew his own hand from a brooch. It's clear that it's not a true healing, it's like a replacement, and the process is noted to be painful. The not Q necromancer. Golden Experience can truly bring back the dead, but it can pump the life energy into a corpse of reanimating it temporarily. The person keeps their memories, personality, and even their stand abilities. The downside, their still diseasing body, slowly losing their senses. It's a powerful but deeply sad ability. These reanimated individuals also lose standard modified functions and become immune to abilities that only affect the living. And like a life sensor, Giorno can sense life energy in clusters. By touching something, he can tell if someone alive inside or even sense a distance life energy is marked, making him a perfect tracker. Golden Experience is not a pure powerful like a Star Platinum, for example. In a straight-up brawl, it's at a disadvantage, but that's not in a game. Its real power is creativity and strategic tips. It's a short-range stand that forces Giorno to think fast, use his surroundings, and outsmart enemies with a constantly shifting toolkit of creatures, healing tricks, and sensory skills. It's the ultimate support of strategy stand. It has clear, defining limits, no direct control over animals, a short operation range, vulnerability in environments unfit for the life, and the heavy cost of abilities like reanimation. So looking at it this way, Golden Experience is already a top tier S-rank stand based on versatility and ingenuity alone. It's clever, unique, and packed with potential, which makes you wonder what could a Requiem version possibly add to make it stronger. It is already so versatile. The Requiem version, well, when you're ready, we'll break down why everyone calls it a reality warping weapon that breaks all the rules. It's not just a power-up, it's what happens when a stand deemed worthy as pierced by a very special artifact, the Requiem arrow. This unlocks a power far beyond normal stand evolution, one that seems to amplify the user's will to a terrifying degree. To show you how crazy this gets, we need to look at the only 2 Requiem stands we've ever seen. First, there is a Chariot Requiem born from Polnareff's desperate last stand. He was wounded, dying, and he one thought was to protect the arrow at all costs from the Diavolo. The arrow answered, Chariot Requiem became an autonomous, nearly meaningless guardian with a soul-based power so dangerous it could accidentally end the world. Its power was soul manipulation on a global scale. It could put an entire city to sleep, swap people's souls between bodies, a human into a bird for example, and a turtle into a human, and even warps tend to turn against their own users. Its true endgame, if left unchecked, was to transform all life on Earth into something completely new and unknown. This wasn't a combat power, it was a conceptual, reality-altering disaster, and it all stemmed from Polnareff's singular desire to protect the Arrow. Now let's talk about Giorno. His situation like a split second, life or death moment against Diavolo, a villain who could erase time and fate himself. Giorno's burning, all-consuming will was simple. I must defeat him, I must stop King Crimson. The arrow pierced his gold experience and the Requiem answered. It didn't just power up the old abilities, it gave him a new tool to so perfectly situated to counter his enemy. It's like divine punishment. Golden Experience Requiem looks like a regal divine version of its old self, mostly ivory white, with a crown-like head and an invested heart on its chest. But the first time, it isn't playing a different game is its personality. Roger speaks. It sings for itself, independent of Giorno. It calmly tells Diavolo that no one who stood before it will ever reach the truth, embodying an almost arrogant, absolutely authority. Its new ability is very broken, doesn't even begin to cover it. It's called Return to Zero. Think of it as the universe ultimate Ctrl plus Z. It doesn't block attacks, it erases the chaos so the effect can never become real. Diavolo erased time long length killing blow, Gare resets their action to before it starts. Your will to attack, your action, your variability all get reduced to zero. This isn't just a powerful defense. If Gare does land a killing blow, it creates a death loop. The victim dies, but it instantly resets to the moment just before death. Only they die again infinitely. They are trapped forever, never reaching the truth or reality of their own end. This was Diavolo's final fate, to experience endless deaths for his crimes against causality. Oh, and as for a gold experience old abilities, they are not only capped but supercharged. It can fire at people with speed and the force to shuttle stone, and its life creation is an instant and precise. But honestly, talking about its stat is pointless. Its true power is casually manipulation. It doesn't just win fights, it denies the very premise of the fights. It makes the concept of losing impossible for its user. That's why Gare is often called the most powerful stand in the canon JoJo universe. It's a narrative I win button. To make it crystal clear just how was an evolution job, look at this comparison in your screen. You can read it by yourself, I will continue my speech. In a short, Golden Experience was about navigating reality with creativity. Golden Experience Requiem is about distancing reality with absolute authority. One is a genius chess player, the other flips the board over and says checkmate before you even have moved. So, it is broken or unfair. Absolutely. By design. It was created to be the ultimate answer to all enemies who cheated fate, and in doing so, it becomes something that stands above the rules of the JoJo universe itself. It's the power of a zero script over the page of reality. I hope this breakdown showed you why this stand is in a league of its own. If you want me to explore in a specific aspect, like comparing it to another overpowered anime abilities, just let me know in the comments below. Alright, so now we are heading to Zavardo, the world, Dio's stand. At this point, just about everybody and their grandma who's seen the meme knows that names like Zavardo, but since I started with the other totally busted opinion, I need to take you back, very back, To understand why the world over heaven is such a glitch, we first have to look to original terrifying code it was built on. So picture this the 1980s. A century-old vampire with a good complex and a fabulous fashion sense wakes up at the bottom of the ocean. That's Dio Brando. His ambitions isn't just to rule to the world, it's to master fate himself. He stands the world is a physical form of that ego. It looks like him, but dialed up to 11, a muscular golden or sometimes grey depending on the animation, Juggernaut, with the heads on its knees because why not, and little oxygen tanks on its back. Those tanks are a constant, stylish reminder that he spent 100 years chilling in a coffin underwater. But forget the looks, let's talk about what it can do. On the surface, it's a close-range power type stand. Think of it as an ultimate bodyguard. It's ridiculously strong, fast enough to catch bullets, and precise enough to surgically remove your spleen with a punch. It went toe-to-toe with Giorno Platinum, the series poster boy for punching things really hard. That alone puts it in the top tier, but that's just a warm-up. The real ability is the one that made a whole generation of viewers gasp, is a time stop. Yes, he just stopped time completely for everyone except himself and his stand. Imagine you're watching a video and someone just hits a pause. For you, everything is frozen, but Dio, he is the one who holding his remote. He can walk around the frozen frame, move the scenes, line up knives right in front of you, and then hit play. You see like nothing, feel nothing, and then suddenly you just fell off a adultery. It's the ultimate cheat code in a fight. No strategy, no speed, no durability can save you if you can't even move in your own slice of time. At first, since he was still getting used to his new vampire stand body, he could only stop time for a few seconds. But here is the scariest part. He was getting better. With each use, the duration grew from the 5 seconds to 9, and it was clear that if he hadn't been stopped, he could keep straining that pause button further and further. He was literally practicing until he could freeze a universal command. Oh, and a fun little bonus. In a stop time, gravity doesn't apply to him. He can just float there ignoring physics because why should a god be bound by someone as basic as gravity? Do you believe in gravity? It's the ultimate power of fantasy for the ultimate narcissist Dio. But here is the case thing about the original Zavardo. For all its broken glory, it's still playing by some rules of the JoJo universe. It had a range limit, Dio had to activate the stop constantly, catch him off the guard, and he couldn't do it. And most importantly, while the world was unbelievably powerful, it was just a tool, a terrifying reality pausing tool, but a tool nonetheless. Try it directly to Dio's will and the consecutions. It was the final boss ability, the unbeatable power for this time, until of course it was beaten, but that's a story for another time. That's our baseline, a time-stopping, gravity-ignoring, skull-crushing manufacture for pure ego. Now take all of that and imagine screaming over its rulebook with a reality warping pen. First the vibe check. It looks like Zavart went through an angelic or maybe holy villain makeover. We're talking shiny and gold invented eyes that looks into your soul, and a classic heart modifies replacing with a fancy letter D for Dio. Because when you become a god, you gotta have the brand recognition. It's the same muscular, intimidating frame, but now it looks like a street fighter and more like a divine punishment. Authentically, it's telling you straight up, I have scanned it. Now, let's get into the meat of why this isn't just an upgrade, it's a violation of a rulebook. The originals of the world have only one legendary power, time stop. Freeze the universe, move around, line up your shots, brutal, unfair but conceptual. Over Heaven keeps that. Presumably the duration is even longer, maybe even infinity, but that's just appetizer. The old ability is now the least interesting thing about it. The new main course is called Reality Override. Let that sink in. Reality overrides. This isn't just stopping time. This is editing the script of existence itself. Think that reality as a video file. Dio isn't just pausing it anymore, he's opening it editing software like me, finding the frame where you were alive and live and just delete it. Then he rewrites in a few frames where you were always dead or never excited or are now his loyal servant. It's all for his logic. The potential, actually, it's limitless. He can rewrite anything, make a mistake, rewind it, go to hurt, overwrite your body state to perfectly healthy. Someone just died? Rewrite the timeline where their heart never stopped. It's the ultimate under button and no just Ctrl Z, it's just control everything for the universe. And it gets more insane. This power lets him negate other ultimate abilities. In the game where Isis appears, he goes up against stands that are literally invisible or have powers that ultimately counter any attack. The world over Heaven just says no. It overrides the very concept on their defense. It's not breaking so a wall, it's rewriting the universe so the wall was never built in the first place. But wait, there is a catch, right? There was always a catch, and there is a kind of yes? To activate this godlike rewrite, he needs to punch you with it. His fist has to make contact. That's a limitation. He can't just snap his fingers from across the galaxy to erase you. Now, let's pause. Remember the original The World Kit? It has a time stop, right? The ability to freeze everyone and everything around him. So what happens when you combine I can rewrite reality in a touch with I can freeze time in a touch anyone I want? And you see actual problem why it is broken. That limitation is rendered almost meaningless. In stop time, you are statue, he can float or gently tap you or forehead and rewrite you out of existence. The one condition for his omnipotence is fortunately met by his other secondary power. It's a perfect broken loop, just I don't know how to say, it's really broken. So to sum up, the world over Heaven takes the already broken concept of time manipulation and the stacks on the top of it literal reality warping. It transforms Dio for a villain with unbeatable power into a villain who controls the very definition of what power means. He is no longer playing this game, he is the one writing the rules, and he can tear up the rulebook whenever he wants. It's not just unfair, it's a narrative kryptonite. It's the reason the version of Dio exists mostly in what-if stories, because if he showed up in the main plot, the story would be over like a paragraph. That's the world over Heaven. The original stand was the final boss. This is the debug mode to unlock you after you beat the game. So we are right at the ultimate what-if bar fight. One side, you have the world over Heaven, the admin of reality. In the other side, Golden Experience Requiem, the ultimate on the button. which one is more broken and who actually takes the W in a straight up 1 versus 1. Let's break it down, no hold, bury it. First, Giorno's Requiem. This isn't just a power-up, it's a philosophical statement. When Giorno pierced the golden experience with a stand arrow, he didn't just get stronger, he got a conceptual weapon. Its core ability is like a return to zero. Think of is the universe like it can be always Ctrl plus Z. Any action, any will, any cause directly against Giorno of chair is reverted back to the state of the zero. It never happened. It's not just nullifying an attack, its rating has a very instant to attack from the timeline. The power work against King Crimson the time Erasure, which is already a broken ability. But it gets wilder. It's autonomous. Chair can act independently of Giorno's consequence. It speaks, it moves, it defends his own. The Thieves loops actually works. If Jer does kill you, you don't just die, you're trapped in the infinity cycle of dying forever, resetting to the moment before your death. And confident. The stand itself states that no other stand can even oppose it. In instance, Jer isn't the fighter, it's a law of reality, you cannot reach the truth of defeating it, it's the ultimate defense making any conservative offense utterly meaningless. Now, Dio as standard form. We already covered it, but let's focus on what makes it a problem for even Jer. The World Over Heaven's new signature power is a reality override. It's not just a controlling time of space, it's editing the split of existence itself. He can rewrite anything, injuries, death, even the very abilities of other stands. The fandom page explicitly states it can negate the ability of 4 made stands including Gold Experience Requiem. But the limitation is that he needs to punch something to rewrite it. But here is a kicker, he still can't time stop. In a frozen time, his opponent in his state here, he can float over, make a contact, even reroute them before they can do even perceive a fight has started. So the World Over Heaven is a paradox, a close-range brawler whose secondary power, Time Stop, effortlessly enables its primarily omnipotent power, Reality Override. Who is more broken and who wins? A golden experience argument is nothing can reach me. Your very attempt to rewrite me will be reduced to 0. You will never arrive at the reality where you defeat me. The World of Heaven argument is, I will write reality itself. Your 0 is just a line in the screen I'm editing. I have already overwritten your ability. Base it on the canonical evidence from the game Eyes of Heaven, where the World Over Heaven originates. The scale steep decisively towards the World Over Heaven. Why? Because its defining lore feed is explicitly negative Jer's power. The World Over Heaven override operates on a layer that seems to supersede Jer's return to 0. It doesn't try to attack Giorno, it attacks the concept of Jer's ability itself if Dio make it a little bit smarter and rewrite the rules so that reverts to 0 simplify no longer abilities. In a theoretical 1 versus 1, Dio just stop times a power Jer has shown to counter, but the World Over Heaven stop is potentially indefined. And even if Giorno can moving in a stopping time, because his stand is not trained too much like the first JoJo's time stops, he will moving no more than 2 seconds I think. In the frozen time, the World Over Heaven makes physical contact. This fulfills the condition for reality override. Dio overrides the reality where a golden experience ability functions before Jer's possibly can move. It's the ultimate cheat beating the ultimate defense. Jer is the perfect shield against any action within the system. The World Over Heaven is the power to reformat the entire system. I think more broken the World Over Heaven. While JoJo breaks the rules of combat, the World Over Heaven breaks the framework in which soul situation and rule exist. It's a meta level above. JoJo is the pinnacle of power within the JoJo universe. The World Over Heaven is the power of someone writing the JoJo universe. One is the final bosses, the other is just guys who delay the same file. But for a people who likes JoJo more, the World Over Heaven is actually not canon. And in a normal JoJo world, maybe before a time skip, the World Over Heaven never exists and Golden Experience Requiem has ultimate broken stuff. In a canonical line only. Because the World Over Heaven is not made by Araki, so it's not so much canonical. Actually, I don't know how much people watching this part, so thank you very much! Just subscribe please and make me a comment section that you're watching this time. For a next video, we're going to more crazy stuff like that, and if you want to see something, just make me suggest what you want to know. I'm just trying to make more videos on some, anime about fighting animes. I like this part of anime, so it's more channel about it only once. Some popular stuff is like interesting too. And if you watch my channel first time, what you will do, like make a like, subscribe, comment or all above. You don't have any time, please do all above thing. Thank you very much and see you next time. I very hope that we will see you next time.